Hello, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be opening another one of the Mini Brands Magic Cook kitchen sets. Last time I opened one of these, I was kind of confused, but this time I've got a much better idea of what I'm getting myself into, so hopefully it should go a lot more smoothly. This time around, I'm going to be opening the stand mixer variant. Again, I'm not entirely certain if the scale is perfect for Barbie. It seems a little bit oversized, but it does match our waffle maker from the last video perfectly. And I do think it's going to end up being a really nice little addition to the kitchen, so let's go ahead and open this guy. Okay, I probably cut a lot of that out. However, this was a lot less satisfying to remove from the packaging than the waffle maker was. It took quite a bit of brute force, and I'm not sure the little black plastic key thing worked at all on this one, so I guess bear that in mind. However, we do now have our cute little stand mixer removed, aside from this little plastic piece on the hinge, which was attached with some elastic bands. And now that that's gone, it is free to move up and down, and my first impression is that it is really cute. I had really wanted the mint green one from Miniverse, but obviously the trouble with those is that you never know which one you're gonna get, and I really didn't want to get stuck with another coffee maker or something. So this definitely presents a good solution to that problem. And as you can see, not only does it move up and down, we also have a removable mixing bowl that comes with it, and the little mixer itself can be turned via a knob on the top. There's also another knob on the front, although I don't think that one's... Oh, it is functional. Okay, that turns on the UV light, which, as we established in my last video on these, probably doesn't do anything to cure the actual craft, but it may come with a color change feature like the waffles did. Before I jump ahead with that though, I'm going to have a look at the instructions. Okay, this one is mostly about changing the batteries and stuff. Let's look at the collector's guide one instead. So obviously I showed this last time. These are all the other little minis we could get. And on the reverse side, it's gonna show us what to do. Okay, so we've got our mixer, our bowl, and two little packets of what I believe is white slime. And it looks like all we do is empty the slime into the mixing bowl, and then we can mix it, although it seems like that's probably not a necessary step. And then the UV light, I guess, turns it this more kind of cream yellowish colour to look more like actual cake mix, or cake batter, I guess. Which, again, I do find myself a little bit disappointed by. They are cute minis, and I do really like the functional aspect. But I did really think we were gonna at least end up with, something akin to cupcakes, or, maybe a cupcake tin that we could put the slime into, and I don't know. It's just such a very, very basic craft. In fact, I'm not sure you can even really call it a craft, but maybe I can try and DIY one a bit like I did with the waffle maker. So let's bring back the little island unit to work on and lift up our little mixer. I don't know if we will need both packets of the slime. I guess we will wait and see. Just squeeze that in there. I can't say I personally have much experience with slime. Sort of missed out on that whole slime craze that was happening for a while. Try and help it out. It's quite sticky. I might have to open this packet out a bit more because we've still got half of it stuck inside there. Oh, Yeah, I'm not sure if I love or hate that texture. Currently it's just reminding me of like an extremely anemic looking flubber, you know, from the film. I am Gen Z, I swear. Okay, I think we're gonna make do with just the one packet right now, partially because I just don't feel like handling any more of it. And then I guess we can just sort of click the ball back in there. There are little holes that make me feel like I should be kind of screwing it in, but there aren't any like corresponding pegs on the bowl, so I guess it can just snap back. And then close the top. Then for the sake of like roleplay, I guess we can turn the knob on the top to mix up the slime. Okay. That is quite fun, actually. Although it is sort of overflowing. It's all caught up on the little mixer foot thing. Is foot the right word? No, that's sewing machines. Paddle attachment, I guess? Okay, it does come free quite easily. That's good. I was worried it was going to be completely stuck on there. I think I'm going to bring back my little mini-me, because the main function of these seems to be, you know, play rather than getting a finished product of any kind. Let's see how easy it is to stop motion this thing. Did that turn out good? I haven't seen it yet, but fingers crossed. I guess now we know that the mixing function works really well, it's time to check out the UV light thing. We'll just turn this dial that way. And was it 10 seconds we were meant to leave it? Yeah, 10 to 15 seconds in the UV.
12 seconds later.
Turn it off. And we do appear to have a pretty good colour change. I'd say that looks a lot like cake batter. I suppose the only issue is that the under parts of it did not get the colour change, so when you pick up the little mixer thing, the slime that's stuck to it is still the original colour. Although I guess that does kind of add a little bit of realism. Maybe we just haven't mixed it thoroughly enough yet, you know, in the roleplay verse. I'm curious to see how long the colour change lasts with this one. With the waffles, it barely lasted long enough for me to take some good photos of it. And this one does seem to be lightening a bit more gradually. As you can see though, it is almost there now. I wonder if more of the slime would change colour if we left it in a bit longer. I guess I can try that. UV light needs to be able to penetrate all the way through in order to change the colour, so I'm not sure if this is going to be too opaque for that, but it's worth a try, I feel like.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Let's see if that has changed anything. You know what? I feel like it may have penetrated through a little bit. Obviously the top is still a lot darker, but I feel like this is a bit more cream coloured than just the original white. Maybe if we like squished it around a bit, we could almost like distribute the top layer throughout it to kind of give the impression of the colour being a bit more consistent. I don't know if that made any sense. Maybe, but then also the colour is gradually getting lighter anyway. I don't know. One thing I feel like would have been really nice to include with this set is a cake pan, so that you could essentially just empty that out into it, flatten it out a little bit, and then put it under another UV light to kind of look like an actual baked sponge cake. Obviously it still wouldn't be like a permanent mini, however I do think it would have added a nice little extra element for play. Oh no, we have dog hair in the dough. I'm blaming you for that, Ted, and your little partner in crime down there. And I don't know what you two think you're doing. Okay, dog hair aside, I have definitely come around to the whole slime as cake batter component. I feel like it's a lot more fun than the waffle maker stuff was. You get to see the actual stuff being manipulated by the mixer, which I do think really adds to the realism of it. With this one, I'm not really sure how best to go about doing like a DIY version. Obviously, I could just make like a mini cake out of clay, but I don't think any of my clay would look better inside the mixer itself than the slime does. And that's the thing that we are reviewing here at the end of the day. So I do think the slime is the best choice for the job in this case, but I am wondering if I could just quickly make a little cake pan that we could pour our batter into. And I'm going to try and make it using the packaging that came with the mini. I found this bottle of rosemary oil, and I think the base of it is going to be a decent sort of diameter for our cake tin. So I've got the cardboard that was wrapping the bottom of the packaging, and I'm going to trace around the bottom of the bottle with a pencil. And I'm actually going to do 2 of these. Cut them both out. Now that I have those, I'm just going to quickly measure the circumference of the bottle. And that's coming out to be about 12 centimeters, so I'll round it up to 13 so that I have a bit of overlap. And then that is the length of the piece that I'm next going to cut out of my collector's guide. So this way I know it can wrap all the way around one of our circular pieces, and part of the reason I chose to use the collector's guide for this is because it has this kind of plasticky laminated coating to it, which should provide a little bit of extra protection against the slime, same with the plasticky coating on the top of our circles. Obviously, I do need to cut down this width a bit though, because this would be an extremely tall cake pan. And I think I want my sides to be about maybe 1.5 centimeters, but I'm going to double that and measure 3 centimeters. And then fold that strip in half lengthways, open it back out. I'm essentially going to use half of it as like seam allowance. And then because I want it to be able to bend nicely, I'm going to cut lots of little slits just up to the folded line. And the more slits that I cut, the more smooth the curve is going to be. So I'm going to be pretty liberal with these. Once that's done, I'm also going to cut another strip that is only 1.5 centimeters wide. So now we have our thick one with the strips cut in, our thinner one, and our 2 circle pieces. And then I'm going to take some Mod Podge and spread it onto the underside of one of these circles. And then take the wider piece of Collector's Guide and start gluing down all those little notches that we cut. And as you can see, they overlap with each other as we're wrapping around the curved edge. And then of course we also need to glue down our overlap. And then I'm going to add some more Mod Podge on the underneath and glue on our second little circle piece to cover up all those little overlapping strips. Just to make sure everything dries really flat and neat, I'm going to sit the bottle that we traced around inside it. And then now that we have a more solid surface to work on, I'm going to take some more Mod Podge and spread it all the way around the outside of our baking tin, and then wrap it with the last strip of the Collector's Guide that we cut, the 1.5 centimeter one. I actually realised that I had forgotten to account for the extra thickness that was added by the cardboard base, so I cut another strip of the collector's guide that was 1.7 centimetres wide this time. I know that's a really tiny discrepancy, but 0.2 centimetres accounts for a lot in miniature. So now we have the outside of our baking tin all uniform and smooth, and I just have to wait for this to dry. Once it's had a little while to dry, I'm going to coat the outside in a layer of silver paint. And I'm not taking it off of the bottle quite yet, just so I have something to hold on to. Once I have a couple of coats on there and they are both dry, I can finally remove it from the bottle. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm realizing maybe I could have just used like the casing on a tea light. Probably would have saved me a lot of time. But as it is, I have already come this far, so I'm going to paint the inside silver as well. So now she can empty her batter into the tin, pop it into the oven. Then we can add the extra slime to make it look like it has risen. Use some UV light to change the colour. Now, when she gets it out of the oven, it kind of looks like a finished cake. Okay, I think that's going to do it for today's video. I do hope you liked seeing my review as well as all my little stop motion extras and the DIY craft. If you did, I would very much appreciate a like and maybe even a subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know down in the comments whether or not you are interested in getting one of these for yourself after having seen this. With that being said, I will see you next time. Bye!